night is young and so are we, baby. The night is young, so let's have some fun. If you love me right, yeah, this could be the summer of our lives now, honey. Give it to me like you know you should now, baby. This could be the summer of our lives, the summer of our lives. The sunset so far.
So here we have everything I'm going to be using in today's tutorial, starting with this beautiful yarn that it's made for crochet bags. This is not acrylic, not cotton. This is a corded type of yarn. This yarn, it's by Tessiland.com and it's the super tie yarn. Everything that I'm going to be using will be linked in the description, so feel free to check it out. And these are the two shades I'm going to be using, beige and copper. And this yarn is a chunky yarn weight, if you are wondering. And the tools I'm going to be using with this yarn will be a 6mm hook, a small pair of scissors, and a tapestry needle so that we can do some sewings and the weave-ins. And if you want, you can also line the bag. I'm going to show you in today's video too. So here I have a 100% cotton fabric. I have some pins, fabric scissors. This is the zigzag one. And to sew, you will need your sewing machine, or if you don't have one, you can do it by hand. I'm going to do with my sewing machine. If you don't know how to use a sewing machine or you don't have one, I have a video on how I do linings without a sewing machine. I'll link that in the description too. And then you will also need the matching thread too, so that you can do all the sewings. And then for the strap and extra little things for this bag, I'm going to be using for the strap this beautiful chain. This is a silver one and it's 1 meter long. And for the closure of the bag, I have here two options for the magnet, because I really want to use a magnet. I have one that you sew it in place and one that you fold the little things here at the back and it locks in place. I think I'm going to be using the sewing one. So now let's begin. The first thing we are going to be making will be this beautiful round for the bag. This is basically going to be the front and the back of the bag. So the first thing that we are going to be doing is creating a magic ring, or you can also start with a chain of 4 and slip stitch at the beginning into the first chain and create a little ring. It's going to be completely up to you how you want to begin. I like to start with the magic ring, so I'm going to be doing that. And this is how I do my magic ring. And then I'm going to be chaining 3, in which will count as the first stitch, double crochet. And around the magic ring, we are going to be making 16 double crochets in total, counting the chain 3 as a stitch. So we are going to be having 15 double crochets and then 16 with the chain 3 right at the beginning. Now I'm creating my last double crochet, so this one is stitch number 16. Once you have all the 16 stitches, first I like to just close the ring by pulling the end nice and tight. Mine will have a little tiny hole like this, as you can see, and you can make it even tighter when you are actually doing the weave-in. All right, the sun just decided to show up, so hello. We can now find the very first stitch, so this one here. Insert your hook into that stitch, pull up a loop and slip stitch the sides together. So here we have the first round completed. Now to move on into the next one, we are going to chain 3. And then into this same stitch, we are going to be creating the first double crochet. So now find the next stitch. In this case, my next one will be this one. It's a little bit different than the others, but it's this one right there. You can always go back and count to see which one you have to get next. So mine is this one. And then into this stitch, you're going to be creating 2 double crochets into that stitch. And for this next round, it's going to be increases all the way around. So 2 double crochets into every stitch around. So we are going to be having 32 stitches for the second round. So when you get at the end, I have here my last stitch, and this one that looks like a stitch, that is not a stitch, that is from the chain 3, all right? So now I have to do here my stitch number 31 and 32. So once you have this completed, the second round completed, you're gonna go into the chain 3 and then you can slip stitch. We are now going to fasten off. I like to chain 1, cut off the yarn. I do leave a long tail, as you can see, because I prefer to have enough yarn to weave in at the end. So I fasten off now, right after the chain 1, and then I'm going to bring my next shade. So to attach this yarn in place, I like to create a slip knot and then choose any stitch to start with. It can be any around. I'm going to be doing here this one. Insert your hook into that entire stitch, and then you're going to pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's how I attach my yarn in place with a single crochet, basically. The very first cluster will be a little bit different, so I like to chain 1 right after the single crochet. If you did a different way, then you chain 2. And then we are going to be wrapping the yarn around the hook, inserting into that same stitch where you did the attaching. And then you're going to pull up a loop. Now you're gonna have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2, keeping that last one on the hook. And then you're going to be wrapping it around the hook again, the yarn, insert into that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then do that one more time. There we go. Now once you have the full loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all loops together. So here we have the first cluster. Now we chain 2. So now we have to skip the next stitch, and then into the following one we are going to be creating a cluster. So wrap the yarn around the hook, insert your hook into that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, keeping that last one on the hook. And then you're going to be doing that 3 more times, because we are doing a cluster with 4 double crochets. The sun is going away. There we go. Once you have the 4 double crochets and 5 loops on the hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops, and here you have the cluster. Now chain 2, we are going to be repeating again what we've done here. So chain 2, skip a stitch into the next one. So the stitch we are going to be skipping is the one that we did the slip stitch. As you can see, go into the next stitch and do a cluster with 4 double crochets, exactly the same as we did this one here. Just need to make it tighter at the beginning. There we go. Cluster with 4 double crochets together. Yarn over and pull through all loops. So here we have the next one. So now you can keep on repeating the same steps, chaining 2, skipping a stitch into the following one, create a cluster. So as you can see, I've finished with 3 stitches at the end, and this is going to be the last cluster, so cluster number 16. So all you have to do is to skip 1 stitch into the following one, create a cluster, the last one. So now to finish the 3rd round off, you're going to chain 2, skip the last stitch, and then you're gonna go right on top of the very first cluster, these 2 loops here at the top. And then you go into slip stitch, and now we have the 3rd round completed. I'm going to chain 1, cut off the yarn and fasten off, and bring the other shade. So create a slip knot and attach into any of the 2 chain spaces. I'm going to be doing here, attaching with a single crochet as I did to the previous one. And now for this one, because we are doing squares, I'm going to chain 3 right after the single crochet. If you didn't do like this, then you're going to chain 4. So 3. And now you're gonna go into that stitch right on top of the cluster, in which is this one that you can see. They are all the same. It's that little stitch right on top, this one here, of the cluster. So go into that stitch and create a double crochet. So chain 1. Now we go into the chain 2 space, double crochet into the chain 2 space, chain 1, and double crochet into the stitch right at the top of the cluster, this one. And then carry on repeating the same. So for round number 4, you should have 32 double crochets going around. Remember to chain 1 in between each double crochet. So this is going to be my last one. So I'm going to chain 1, double crochet into the cluster stitch. And now to finish it off, we are going to chain 1. And we are going to be slip stitching. In this case, I'm going to be skipping here the single crochet and then count 2. So 1 and 2. Into that second chain, I'm going to be slip stitching. So this is how it looks. And now I'm going to fasten off. So chain 1 and fasten off. And I'm going to bring the copper yarn, and now you can go ahead and attach this yarn into any of the double crochet stitches. I'm going to be doing this one, attaching with a single crochet. So now for the 5th round, chain 2 right after the single crochet, otherwise you chain 3, and then double crochet into the same stitch where you've done the attaching. There we go. The chain here at the beginning counts as the first stitch. So now we are going to be chaining 1, skipping the chain 1 space into the next stitch, the double crochet stitch. You're going to be doing 2 double crochets into that same stitch. And then chain 1, skip a stitch, the chain 1 space, into the following one, in which is the double crochet stitch. Create 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And that's all we are going to be doing all the way around. And now at the end, all you have to do is to chain 1. You're going to skip the single crochet, count the first chain into the second. You're going to slip stitch. There we go. So now we are going to move on into round number 6, and we are going to be using the same shade. If you want, you can change it, but this one looks nicer with the same shade, as you can see, because it looks like a continuation, and the other one is going to look much nicer right on top of this one, in which is the last round with the beige. So now for the next round, we are going to be doing a cluster, exactly like what we did into round number 3, but this time we are going to be having 5 double crochets and grabbing 5 stitches of the base. So let me show you how to do that. First, we are going to chain 2, and then you're going to be finding the next stitch. Mine is right here. So you're going to be wrapping the yarn around the hook, following the same steps as you did this cluster, inserting into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, keeping that last one on the hook. So now do the same thing into the chain 1 space, wrap the yarn around the hook, go into the chain 1 space, and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, keeping the last one on the hook. And now do the same into the next 2 stitches right into the 2 double crochets, always leaving that last loop on the hook, just like this. At the beginning, you're gonna be having 5 loops on the hook. All you have to do is to yarn over and pull through all the loops together. So right after the first cluster, you're going to be chaining 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to be skipping the chain 1 space, the next one, and you're going to be starting again into the next 5 stitches. We are going to be doing the same cluster. So wrap the yarn around the hook, skip the chain 1 space, go into the next stitch. It's right on top of the double crochet. It's always going to be the same beginning and end. And then you're going to be yarning over and pulling through 2, keeping the last one on the hook, the last loop. And then you're going to be doing the same into the next 4 stitches, including the chain 1 space. Always leaving the last loop on the hook, following the same steps as you did into the first cluster of this round. Once you have 6 loops on the hook, all you have to do is to yarn over and pull through all the loops together. And now we can chain 5 right after the cluster. 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we can repeat the same. So wrap the yarn around the hook, skip the next chain 1 space. Now create a 5 double crochets cluster into using the next 5 stitches after skipping the chain 1 space. Once you have 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all loops. Now you have your cluster done. Chain 5 and carry on repeating the same steps. So now I got here at the end and I have 7 stitches left. So I'm going to be doing my last cluster into the same place that I did all the others. So skip the chain 1 and then into the next 5 stitches you're going to be doing the cluster. There we go. That's my last cluster completed. Now I'm going to chain 5. And now you're going to be finding the stitch right on top of the cluster. You can see that we have 2 little stitches here. We have the one from the chain and the one from the cluster. So you want to make sure that you get that one from the cluster. So go into that stitch and then you go into slip stitch. And then we can now chain 1, cut off the yarn and fasten off and bring the other shade. So attach this yarn into any of the chain 5 spaces. I'm going to be doing this one. I'm going to be attaching with a single crochet as I always do. And now we are going to be doing another single crochet into the chain. So now we are going to be doing a half double crochet, grabbing the chain 1 of round number 5. So all you have to do is to wrap the yarn around the hook, go under and around here the chain 1 space, and then you're going to be grabbing the yarn, pull nice and high, leveling here with the cluster as you can see, and then all you have to do is to yarn over and pull through all the 3 loops. So that's a half double crochet. And now to finish it off here into the chain 5, you're going to be doing around the chain 5 2 single crochets. And then here, right on top of the cluster, we have 2 stitches. Make sure that you use those 2. And into the stitch of the cluster, you're going to be doing 1 single crochet. And then the one off the chain, the very first one, you're going to be doing a single crochet too. So we want to use as many stitches as we can so that the detail looks really pretty. So now we go into the chain 5 again, the next one. So you're going to be doing the same as we did into the first one. So 2 single crochets first into the chain 5. And now we are going to be creating a half double crochet, grabbing the chain 1 of round number 5. So wrap the yarn around the hook, go into the chain 1 space around it, grab the yarn, pull nice and high, yarn over and pull through all the loops, creating a half double crochet. Now into the chain 5 again, create 2 single crochets, and now create the 2 single crochets on top of the cluster, grabbing 1 stitch of the cluster and 1 stitch of the chain, the very first one. So here's the next single crochet and the other one into the first chain of the chain 5, There we go. So now you can repeat again the same all the way around. I'm going to be doing the same steps all the way around, and then I'll meet you at the end so that we can do the next step together. So I got here at the end, as you can see, I have done all the pattern on top of the chain 5 that we were supposed to do all the way around. And now I just have 2 stitches left, in which are the 2 on top of the cluster. So I'm just going to be doing single crochets into those 2 last stitches. And now right at the end, you're just going to find any stitch that you want. I'm going to be doing right here, just to create a slip stitch and to connect both sides together like this. And now we can chain 1, cut off the yarn, and we can fasten off. So this is how the round looks once we have added the last round, round number 7. It looks really pretty. Once you have one completed, go ahead and make another one. Exactly the same, as you can see. And all you have to do for the weave in is to choose a yarn. You're going to be inserting into your tapestry needle, and then you're gonna go into a couple of stitches. There you go. And then you're going to be skipping the first one, go back into those same stitches, skip the first one, and go back again. So 3 times in total, skipping the first stitch every time you go down. Once you've done that, you are ready and you can cut off the yarn and the weave-in is completed. So that's what I'm going to be doing into all of my yarns here at the back. Alright, so now I have both rounds completed. I just finished the weave-in of the second one, and I just want to measure this one so you know the sizing that it turned out. So it's 30 centimeters in total, this round. So you can actually make any round you want. It doesn't have to be this particular one. So it can be any pattern, any round pattern that it's 30 centimeters. So once you have the 2 rounds, put them aside. And now we are going to be making the sides and the bottom of the bag. So first you want to choose the sizing that you want for the side of the bag and the bottom. I think I'm gonna do probably around 4 centimeters, 5. Let's see how that's gonna go. So make a slip knot and start your chain. So here I have a chain of 5, and that gives 4 centimeters, around 4.5 centimeters. So I'm going to do chain of 5 for the beginning. So right after you have the chain that you want to make sure that you chain an extra of 1. And then you want to skip the 2 first chains, going to the next one, the 3rd from the hook. And then you're going to do the first half double crochet. Remember that we are counting the chain that is here as a stitch. So we are going to be having 5 stitches in total. And now go down with half double crochets into all the stitches that you have. There we go. And now to go up, what I like to do is just chain 1, turn my work, and then I'm going to half double crochet into that very first stitch. So from now on, we are not counting the chain at the beginning as a stitch anymore. Go into that very first stitch, half double crochet, and then half double crochet all the way down. So as you can see, I have here 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I need 5. So you're gonna get the chain that is right here at the end for this row. So you wanna make sure that you have also 5 stitches. And now you can just repeat the same as the second row. So chain 1, turn, half double crochet into the very first stitch, and then you're going to half double crochet all the way down. Now we don't have the chain, so it's easier. You just count all the stitches that you have. When you get at the end, you'll see the half double crochet, the stitch of the half double crochet going to the last one, half double crochet, and now you can just keep on repeating the same until you have the sizing that you need. So now here I have all the rows completed. I have here 47 rows in total, and without stretching, it's measuring 52.5 centimeters. So I've decided to go from this point all the way to this one. So this is how it should look like. So that's how you're going to be measuring, just to make sure that it fits from the side that you want all the way to the other. So this is all the opening that I'm gonna have for the bag at the top, and it's measuring around 22 centimeters here at the top. So when you're happy on how this looks, we can now move on into cutting all the pieces for the lining. We are not going to fasten off right now, leave this here because we are going to be using the same yarn to single crochet and attach all the pieces together. So place one of the rounds on top of the fabric. You can see here that I have double fabric so that we can cut two at the same time. Leave a little bit of seam allowance here on the sides, and I'm going to be using this fabric pen just so that I can trace it around so that we have the perfect round. Remember to leave a little bit of seam allowance all the way around. It can be around a centimeter or so. Before I cut it, I just like to pin so that the fabric is not going to be moving around when I'm cutting. And now we can cut it around. And now we have the lining for the back and the front, and now we have to cut for the bottom and the sides of the bag. You can also fold the fabric in two, because then it's going to be easier to cut, where you have the folding of the fabric. I do stretch it out just a little bit like this. Leave a little bit of seam allowance. Trace it around and cut it. You can leave this aside for now because we have to just put the bag together before we do the lining. So I'm going to leave this aside and we are going to carry on with the crochet part of it. So you're gonna get one of the rounds, make sure that it's on the reverse, and then you want to place this exactly where you want. I just like to pin to the other side so that I know where it's gonna go. So it's gonna go here. So I'm just gonna pin this in place here for a moment. So I know that I have to do the sewing from this all the way to this other side. So choose the stitch I'm doing into this one. You're gonna insert your hook into that stitch and you're going to pull up a loop. And then all you have to do is yarn over and pull through two, so that's a single crochet. So now from here, you can decide if you want to do the attaching with single crochets or slip stitches. I'm going to be doing with slip stitches because my yarn is nearly finished. I don't have a lot, but I know that with the slip stitches it's gonna work. So find a next stitch. I'm gonna go into the sided half double crochet, the next one of the round, pull up a loop, and then slip stitch. Find the next stitch that you want, the next one of the round, pull up a loop and slip stitch. The next stitch of the bottom, the next stitch of the round, and slip stitch them together. So that's all I'm going to be doing. And if you have to skip stitches, so it makes this fit into the round, all you have to do is just skip one stitch of the round. So find a next stitch of the side, skip the next one of the round into the following one. You're going to then slip stitch. All right. I'm going to be keeping the slip stitches on the outside of the bag. I don't mind the effect that it gives. I really like that detail. So now I'm going to carry on with my slip stitches all the way until I get here to the other side. So the last one, it's that very last stitch of the bottom, and here is the last one. that I'm going to be doing. So now from this point, we have to slip stitch to the other side of the bottom of the bag. So just slip stitch into the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So make sure that this round has the right side here on the outside, and you're gonna place it exactly where you want it. So I'm going to pin this side here in place. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of this detail at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have to start here. So choose that same stitch. We're going to be starting with the slip stitch, and now you're going to do exactly the same. 1 stitch of the bottom, 1 of the round, and slip stitch. So here we have the last stitch now completed, attaching both sides together. Now we just have to slip stitch here at the top so that it's the same as the other side. So slip stitch into the next 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we can slip stitch into the very first slip stitch. I'm going to leave this yarn here because I'm not sure if I want to use it to attach the straps in place. So we are going to leave that to the end. So get the end of the chain and the yarn that you are going to be going around the chain with. I'm doing with the copper. Hopefully it's going to be enough yarn for what I want to do. So I'm going to create a slip knot, and then you're going to get the very first chain. Into that chain we are going to be attaching this yarn with a slip stitch, and then we are going to chain 1 and slip stitch into the following chain. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the following chain. Make sure that it's not twisted. Chain 1 and slip stitch, and then keep on doing the same steps until you have covered one side of the chain. When I'm right at the end, I will be back and then I'll show you how to go from one side to the other. So when you get towards the end, just keep on repeating the same until you get to the very last chain. So now this side we are already going to be attaching into one of the sides of the bag. Here is where I have the yarn, so I'm going to do on this side first. So we are going to use 4 stitches here on the side. I'm going to slip stitch into this first one, and then you're gonna go into the last chain again, go into the next stitch, and then you're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to single crochet, insert into that same chain again, next stitch, pull up a loop, and single crochet. And then the last one is going to be a slip stitch. So go into the chain, into the last stitch, and then slip stitch. And now we are going to slip stitch into the same chain again, one more time. And now we can go back. So chain 1 into the next chain, slip stitch. Chain 1, next chain, slip stitch. Chain 1, next chain, and slip stitch. So this is how it looks here at the beginning. It's super nice and secure, and that's how I want it. So now I'm going to carry on creating my slip stitches and chain 1s into every chain going up. So I got at the end of the other side. So I'm going to chain 1 and slip stitch into my last chain. And now we can attach to the other side. Make sure that the strap is not twisted. So it's going to be the same, 4 stitches in total. The first one we are going to do a slip stitch. I'm gonna use the inside ones. Have 1, 2, 3, 4. So a slip stitch into the first one that you can find. Then single crochet, grabbing the next stitch and going through the chain. And then the same into the next one. And then slip stitch into the last. I'm just using here the back because then we are going to have the same finishing, as you can see here, as the other side with the slip stitches. So you want to make sure that you do that too. And then this last one, you're going to slip stitch. And now you can just slip stitch into the very first slip stitch of the other side. Make it nice and tight and slip stitch. I have enough yarn of the copper. So from here, I think I want to do like some slip stitches at the top. So now I'm just gonna be moving this yarn to the other side, as you can see, just so that I have the slip stitches on the right side, because if I do where I left off, basically the slip stitches will be on the reverse and we are going to have a line and not the slip stitch showing. So I'm just gonna be transferring this yarn to the other side, as you can see. And now we have it ready to start with the slip stitches. Find one stitch very close to here the strap. I have this one, and pull up a loop, slip stitch, and now we can find the very first one right here already. Going to the next one, slip stitch, and now we can just slip stitch all the way down right here at the top of the round, all the way to the other side. So I got here on the other side. Just carry on finding stitches and creating slip stitches. I'm going to go into one of these, close to, see how that one looks? Maybe this one. So now to move this yarn to the other side, just do a couple of slip stitches into here the back, into any stitch you want. Don't do it too tight. There we go. So now we got to the other side. So now when you have the yarn here on the other side, you can just start with the slip stitches again. Just keep on creating slip stitches until you reach the copper again. Now we can just attach with the slip stitch into the strap, and now we are done. So we can cut off the yarn, chain one, cut off the yarn and fasten off. All right, this is how it looks so far. It's looking pretty cute already. I'm not gonna use this yarn on the other side, so I can just cut off this yarn, chain one and fasten off. I'm going to take this yarn to the reverse of the bag. And what you have to do before we move on into creating the lining is to weave in all of these yarns that we have here on the reverse. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, I did finish all the weave in, but I had another idea to do here for the strap. And because I have a little bit of the beige, let's add another detail to the strap. So create a slip knot and leave it nice and loose like this. Insert your hook into the very first The very first one where we did the attaching, the very first chain, it's going to be a little bit tight, but try your best to get that one. And then you want to move this yarn to the front, the loop to the front, like this. Now make it just a tiny little bit tight, but you don't want to make it too tight so that it reaches the other chain. So all we have to do is to insert the hook into the next chain, and then you're going to be catching the yarn and slip stitching at the top like this, kind of weaving into all the chains. Insert into the next one, pull up a loop and slip stitch. And you want to do this nice and loose. You don't want to do it too tight. Just follow the chains. Leave them nice and straight and follow the chains. You see the working yarn is here at the back. I'm catching it and slip stitching. So I'm gonna do this all the way through the strap. I think it adds that little extra detail that looks really pretty. And also you want to make sure that you do this on the right side, okay? So I got here at the end and look at this. I only have this yarn left for the beige yarn. So it was perfect for everything that I wanted to do. So I'm going to slip stitch into the second to last. And now we have to release the hook from the loop. We are going to be inserting from the back the hook into that very last chain, and then you're going to be moving this loop to the back like this. And now fix it correctly, and you can just pass the yarn through the loop and we are done. Now we can just weave this in. I'm going to be moving here to where I can weave in, where we have the same shade. And now we can weave this yarn in too. So here we have the crochet portion of this bag. Now I'm going to be putting this aside and we are going to be working on the lining. So get all the pieces that you've cut. So get the first round and then just choose one side and we can start pinning this around. So once you have one side pinned in place, bring the other round right on top. And we can pin this in place too, so that we can do both sewings in one sitting. So this is how it looks like. We have the same shape as the bag, and I'm going to zigzag everything. All right, I'm going to be using the zigzag stitching and also here at the top too, so that we have a nice finishing, and then I will be back with you so that we can sew this into our crochet bag. So I have here my lining completed, as you can see. You want to leave on the reverse, and that's how you want to place it inside the bag. And now we can start sewing all the way around. What I'm going to be doing is just folding a little bit, placing exactly what I want. I'm going to do here on the line where we have the slip stitches, just a little bit underneath. And then I'm going to be sewing with some thread and needle. I'm going to be attaching this yarn in place by going through the loop here at the end. First we have to make sure that we at least pin the sides of the bag here. So I'm going to do this side and the other. Grab a little bit of the fabric and sew that down. Moving to the next one, grab a little bit of the yarn and a little bit of the fabric and sew it down. And that's everything I'm going to be doing all the way around. So at the end, just go ahead and fasten off and cut off the yarn. So the lining is done now. So this is how the lining looks inside. It fits perfectly. You can see we still have a really nice room for the bag to stretch to. It's not super tight inside the bag. So now the last thing we have to do is to add the magnets. I'm going to be adding it right here into this little shell that we have. So here at the top we have 5, so it's the one right in the middle. Add the first one, and then the other we can just match the other side. So right here, that's where I'm going to be attaching. When sewing this, you want to make sure that you get a little bit of the crochet too in the fabric, so that the sewing is really nice and secured in place. So once this side is done, go ahead and match to the other side. And now we can attach this other side in place, and we are done. So I'm going to be attaching this one, and then I'll show you how the bag looks like once everything is completed. All right, the bag is now completed. So here's the magnet working perfectly. And let me show you. Oh my God, from those 2 cones, this is what I have left. So basically you can make this bag with only 200 grams, so 2 cones of the super tie yarn. That's what I made with 2 cones of the super tie yarn, and oh my goodness, I was so scared that I wasn't going to have enough yarn, but it was perfect. It worked like magic. So here we have the bag now with the lining inside. It looks super pretty. The magnet, the strap, my favorite part of this bag. It's definitely the strap. It's the most beautiful strap ever. It's a one-day project. It's so easy. The round is super easy, and putting it together is super easy. This is also a project that is super easy if you want to gift to someone. The birthdays are now in July, August. Super easy to make. Also, you're not going to spend a lot to make this. So it's a really good project for that too. So it's cheap, it's easy, it's quick, and it becomes this beautiful bag that you can see right here. So thank you so much everyone for watching today's video. I really hope you did, and if you did, don't forget to leave your massive thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can watch more tutorials like this one. And also, if you end up making, don't forget to tag me on Instagram at Brunaticality so that I can see how your bag turned out and also the shades that you have used. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye!